Okay, so hello, this is Moody for the win, going in with another 8-bit Armies replay. Turns out that the game I was suggested to watch was actually an Arctic Assault, and I picked the other snow map. But the very divisive map, Arctic Assault, we have here with TarNation in the bottom as the very boring red Marines, and up in the top you have JustPlainSavage as that lovely green Renegades. Assuming very similar starts to last game, I'm very interested. I believe this game was played directly after the last game we just saw, so I'm very interested to see how JustPlainSavage will switch things up. I think this is in a sort of long row of them playing each other, so there are already there are already parts of these builds changing up that we haven't seen because they were in previous games. But it's very interesting to see how Renegades are reacting now that Marines have been able to dominate Renegades at a high level for a while. And a lot of these Renegades players are switching up into this this style with a heavier presence of machine gun infantry and choppers and cars. Oh, nah. Look at that harpy. This is a boss mode harpy. If we had the StarCraft 2 thing where you could click on it and see what kills it would have, it would be a corporal already. It will be a corporal already. So we have the 4th now harvester going up from TarNation as the game freezes there quite awkwardly. Luckily, it sort of caught itself up. We have the tech going down here from JustPlainSavage. So, and holy moly, this is a very it seems like a very risky build coming out from TarNation. Like pretty much 0 unit production, just like cancelling all of that for this. I don't know if that's a decision made because of the amount of pressure he put on with his harpy and how much he thinks he's held JustPlainSavage back. He has got his single Ogun out now, and JustPlainSavage has gone with, again, a lot of machine gun troops in order to counter that sort of mass harpy style, which TarNation is known for at this moment. And he's just not going that. You know, you have ogres waddling about, doing their thing, and these things are just not going to have any trouble from this. And as we saw last game, this army composition is also not going to be really able to harass this. He's now seeing the extent of the problem and how many of these points that TarNation has, and he's going to need to do something, but he's going to have to stop making... He has stopped making that now. He's also powered himself a bit there, but it's okay. He's splitting up his forces, which I like, sending some down each side. But again, these are all machine gun infantry, so TarNation doesn't really have to worry. I mean, a couple of ogres each side would defend this. I mean, he's got all of his troops going to one side right now, but that's where the large force of the troops that are already here. And what can they do? This army just doesn't deal with what TarNation has. Dissonant has warned me that he's been having this sort of trouble quite a lot recently. Ooh, that was almost devastating, that harpy hit there. So right now, TarNation is so happy economy-wise that now Zion Spartan is putting in the pressure. And this is the situation which Zion Spartan likes. Both of these players seem to be quite aggressive players. They love to be the one putting on the aggression. They love to be the one, you know, the thing the StarCraft casters always said was, you know, determining the pace of the game. But at this point, he's got a few more rocket troopers in these compositions now. Oh, there was a lot of crushes going on there though. But he hasn't managed to do any real damage to the Marine player because of this heavily MG army. And he's still making a lot of MG because he does need them to stop these harpies from ruining his day. I think I would prefer to see, honestly, rocket troopers with more MG cars. This is the way that Carnage and Cars have been playing this sort of thing a lot. The Wyvern is interesting. I'd like to see this play. I am not a massive fan of Wyverns, but they are They are the closest thing other than the Harpy that Marine have to an aggressive tool in the late game. So I'm interested to see what gets done with this. Again, all these machine gun infantry just going to do absolutely nothing against this harvester. But he has a big sprawling base now. Lots of points over here. Lots of harvester points. Oh, up the ramp against Crush is not fun. And these Harpies are going to get on a nice squished ball of infantry here and really deal some damage. This army in the front has found and killed a harvester, but there are plenty harvesters right now. We even have a sneaky harvester up here to the right. This Wyvern is now being very useless, but is going to get microed to do the right thing. There's a big attack in on the front. There is some harassment going on over here to the left on this harvester. But our boy TarNation is still going to be on 6 harvesters after this, with a 7th harvester out. Getting healed by gremlins over here. This is a big stream of stuff from JustPlainSavage. But he has not realised that this is here yet. He's pulling some units back now. Attacking on the side. He's going to have to focus something to try and stop it. Ooh. Gorgon. We're in Gorgon City, boys. And I really hope that doesn't happen constantly when I'm trying to do tournament games. Holy moly. So we've got Harpy chasing tanks here. Harpy's explosive damage actually not going to be too bad against this, but tanks, I believe, will do no damage against these guys. Now, machine gun infantry there. I really do think, I mean, I think instead of these tanks, he should have more armored cars. He does have quite a nice little subsection of armored cars here now. But, I mean, maybe if he does push in with one of these small attacks, having the extra tanks would be better for taking out one of these buildings. If he could find a smaller, you know, power port or something. What are they called? Power stations? I don't know. Lots of lots of strikes here. If I had started to make this many strikes, I would have flown the first strike over his base, just up here and then up here, just to at least see if he has any air, because all these strikes are useless right now. He's preparing for a air switch, which I agree with him should be coming at this point from JustPlainSavage. JustPlainSavage is sticking on this ground army, which at this point really has no place in this game. These tanks and light infantry stuff. This is a good army composition for the early game. Lots of MG to trim down these Harpies and now Fido. But when you're against Fido Gremlin, Renegade's ground army just isn't going to cut it. I think you need rocket choppers as well as this. I really think he's in a bad position here. Oh, look at these Gorgon shots. I love myself some Gorgon shots. These things are awesome. Pew. Pew. They do take a while to shoot, but they are fantastic. Gorgon focused down now. That is a good move from JustPlainSavage, but many Gorgons coming up the middle. And these things are going to give them hell and then some. They're going to really put holes in these forces if they get a chance, if they have some Fido support. Ooh. This looks impressive, but do remember this is like right here, this is like a sort of quite an early game little army facing off against a mass of Fido Gorgon. Fido Gorgon Shrike is, you know, probably one of the most efficient armies in the game by power. I don't know heavy tanks very well because very few people make them. From what I know, they're actually better anti-air than they are straight ground-to-ground tanks. He's trying to make some rocket helicopters now, but there's already this crowd of strikes out, and when the strike numbers are this far ahead of you, like, you need to be above of the strike numbers. If you are not ahead of the strike numbers, you don't have the air, because these strikes can just sit by your air production and just go nope. And Shrikes are so fast that they entirely avoid absolutely anything on the ground. I want to find some Fido walking. Yeah. Look at that. I love Fido's walk animation. Like excitable little dogs. A little terrier. So yeah, this game has been getting slowly out of control, and this now feels like this is entirely done. Gorgon City here. Rolling around. Causing carnage. So these games show a sort of interesting bit of trend that's been going on. Around the time of the last, just after the last Ladder Wars, top Renegades players were having real trouble beating top Marine players with the strategy they'd been going. This sort of mass rocket choppers, rocket troopers, and artillery and tanks thing that they've been doing, you know, for as long as I've been in this game. That just wasn't working anymore. Ogre, Gremlin, Shrike, Marine, even, before I discovered the strength of the Fido personally. That was enough to absolutely crush players. Renegade players. Renegades have now learnt that you need more of that MG infantry to cull down the Marine's infantry before you can then start dealing with his tank line. And now you see these sort of games where they have that early advantage, but because they now don't have the ability to harass the Marines, that really sets them back. And it's going to be an interesting sort of balance that they have to strike to get anywhere in this new meta.